So as we're figuring it out, the Bills have signed Mike White, looks like to a practice squad contract. However, looking at the third quarterback, maybe even elevated as the second quarterback very soon. Mike White is a guy that has been known to the AFC East, signing first, well, obviously being drafted by Dallas, actually a long time ago, then going to New York and having a fairly decent career before being Mike McDaniel, choice of backup quarterbacks for Tua Tagovailoa. Knowing that offense inside and out will be helpful to the Bills, I'm assuming, but we'll sit on the Bills practice squad and we'll give the Bills a nice little push, especially with we don't know the health of Mitchell Trubisky. What are your thoughts on Mike White, Kevin?
I really like this signing. I think Mike White brings some instant stability to the quarterback room because we've been saying right along, I was very concerned about this quarterback situation because when we talked to Dr. Kyle Trimble last week, he said that Trubisky could be out for multiple weeks, if not months. And then McDermott said everyone outside of Matt Milano should be ready for week one. So you're thinking, okay, is Trubisky going to be back? He's not going to have much mobility. And then when he was healthy, he still wasn't even that good of a quarterback from what we could tell in the preseason. So you get Mike White, at least on the practice squad. This doesn't totally eliminate Mitch Trubisky. He could still come back and be healthy. But again, I think this is some much needed stability, and I feel more confident because Mike White's a guy, he can come in and win games. You know, we always talk about breaking the season into quarters, and if Josh Allen, God forbid, if he has to miss 4 games, who can win you at least 2 games, if not 3? You know, we kicked around the idea of Bailey Zappi, who was released today from the Patriots, maybe acquiring Tyler Huntley, who is the 4th quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, or even Taylor Heineke, someone like that. But you don't have to give up a draft pick for Mike White, and I think he can also get the job done.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he has an interesting perspective. You know, he's won games in this league. With what before that the Jets went out and got Aaron Rodgers was said to maybe be the guy re-signed to the Jets in 2022 for $2.5 million to compete with Zach Wilson. And after he was benched, White competed 22 for 28 for 315 and 3 touchdowns in that Jets 31-10 win against the Vikings. I remember watching that game and thinking, well, maybe I would love to have a backup quarterback like that. Well, now the Bills have him on the third string level. So it'll be very interesting. And every time that Wilson's ineffective or injured, Mike White has seemed to be there. And then that led to a 2-year deal with Miami. So it wasn't just a nickel dime kind of contract. It was a fairly sizable, potential deal for Mike White in the league. So obviously getting cut this year, not seeing both of those year through a 2-year, $8 million deal in Miami. But he knows that Dolphins offense, the Bills play them week 2. The Dolphins have to be like, here we go again. Of all teams, like if you're a Dolphins fan, that's pretty concerning that you're like 3 weeks away from playing the Bills. And now your backup quarterback knows everything. You're going to have to change everything.
Yeah, some much needed intel for Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbage. And that's a good point, too, because with Bobby Babbage potentially calling plays, you want as much knowledge as possible to make him comfortable. Mike White provides that. And I think Desmond Ridder got cut today, too, as well, right, from Arizona?
He did.
So that was a possibility that I'm not sure if we mentioned before, but I think this is a very smart move for the Bills. And Mike White's already 29 years old. I didn't even realize that till just now. So he has some good veteran leadership about him.
Yeah, for sure. And if you really break it down from a perspective of what Mike White can do you see him taking over for Trubisky anytime soon, Kevin? We don't even know that Trubisky is healthy. So, I'm assuming Mike White is coming out for a week or two until maybe after the Thursday night game, maybe? That seems like I don't think that that's really great for Mitchell Trubisky. And as we know already, the Bills probably were looking to upgrade at least Danucci and Brown. Clearly they were the first chance they got even before they made their own cuts. They had Mike White in for a visit. So clearly they were upgrading that position. So that can't be great for Trubisky from the football end from Trubisky.
Yeah, even if he's healthy, I still might take Mike White because I did not like what I saw from Trubisky. He just did not look comfortable in the pocket, very hesitant, didn't want to throw the ball too far down the field, which led to some interceptions. He's taken some sacks. I think Mike White has some aggressiveness to him. And again, I just think that this is a very good signing. Now, I do want to ask, do you think this kind of eliminates the possibility of bringing Ben DiNucci or Anthony Brown back on the practice squad?
Yeah.
Would they put 2 quarterbacks on the practice squad?
No.
Okay, so right now it's probably going to be Allen, Trubisky, and then Mike White. And if Mike White can move quickly enough to supplant Trubisky, then we really might just roll with Allen and White.
Yeah, and he's had some good moments in the league. But ever since really he took that hit from Matt Milano, he kind of hasn't been the same kind of player. Prior to that, like people were talking about like maybe this guy could take over, and a lot of Jets fans were calling for him to start the majority of the year and be the guy. But Miami did choose to pay him 2 years, $8 million. So they weren't just looking at that from a perspective of like, okay, this is just our next Kyle Allen. They paid him real backup quarterback money to be an insurance policy for Tua himself. So being 29 years old, he would probably assume that he was on the younger end. But obviously knowing he was a 5th round draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys back in 2018, he is not, that much younger than Mitchell Trubisky, believe it or not. So that's a funny point that I've always thought Mike White would be like 25. Mitchell Trubisky himself is only 30, being the first round pick in 2017, just the year prior. So he has been around the game a while, so that'll add that little veteran presence. But being a practice squad contract for now, we'll see what everything plays out. But I do expect him probably to be elevated week 1 based on the injury report from Kyle Trimble. But ultimately, McDermott has stood by that he does not expect anyone but Matt Milano to be out for week 1. So maybe by him only getting a practice squad contract, it kind of proves that he's not expecting Trubisky to be out week 1.
Well, Kevin, this makes me feel better because, not going to lie, I know that the needle shouldn't move on NFL cutdown day because we're talking about the back end of the roster for the most part. But not going to lie, I was a little bit concerned after those Bills moves came out when the team made them official, because the backup quarterback situation was a little bit murky with Trubisky. And again, they got rid of DiNucci and Anthony Brown. So it's like, are we just going to rely on Trubisky to heal up as quickly as possible? So this answers that question. But then my other question, which still needs to get answered, is what's happening at the wide receiver position? Is there going to be a corresponding move there? Are we going to see a move like this in the wide receiver room? Because right now the Bills are only rolling with 5 wide receivers, and 2 of those are injured right now between Curtis Samuel and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So I thought today that maybe that would bode well for Zach Davidson. He could be that 4th tight end / 6th wide receiver in Joe Brady's offense, because Quentin Morris is also dealing with an injury right now. But ultimately, they got rid of Davidson. So right now, Josh Allen only has 8 pass catching options, and that excludes the running backs because James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson can be pass catchers. But from a wide receiver and tight end perspective, Allen only has 8 players to throw the ball to, and 5 of them are healthy right now. So like this Mike White edition, I would not be surprised if we see another move on this Bills offense, because right now the Bills have 27 defensive players, only 23 offensive players. There might be more moves to come.
Absolutely. And keep it tuned right here to the Going Deep Buffalo show on the Built in Buffalo podcast network for more breaking news. But another signing, Bills put Mike White on the practice squad to take over as the 3rd quarterback and potentially push for that 2nd QB. So one domino has fallen already right here. But look, stay tuned for us, as will there be another domino that falls at the receiver room or the weapon room in general? I think we have some moves to be made. So we'll be right back at you when we have
Noah
those
Brown.
come at you.
Noah Brown or Terrace Marshall Jr. Both of those guys were cut today by the Texans and Panthers. I don't know if Marshall will be able to clear waivers, but Noah Brown could be a sneaky good addition to this wide receiver room.
There you have it. And we'll bring you any other updates as they come in. But for now, this is the Going Deep Buffalo show. We'll see you soon.